Yo, what up, guys? It is Kyle Beast here. We got an NFL Week 9 preview going on. We have a lot of good games this week. I am really excited. Let's get into it. This is our preview for the show, right? We just got Dolphins at Chiefs in Germany. Gonna be an awesome matchup. Then we're gonna talk about Seahawks at Ravens. Also, we got a 5-2, 6-2, another great matchup this week. Then we got Vikings at Falcons. You know, we always talk Falcons on the show, but this game's definitely much more underwhelming than the other games we're gonna cover today. Then we got Cowboys at Eagles. Another division match. The Eagles are 7-1 right now, so this would be a win for the division because the Cowboys are only 5-2. Then we got Sunday Night Football, Bills at Bengals. Just four great games in a row. Bills at Bengals is going to be awesome. And then Chargers at Jets, which is going to be a lot better game than people think. This is a huge game for the Chargers. Huge games for both teams if both teams want to see themselves in the playoffs with a win here. So, yeah, we're just going to start it off with Dolphins at Chiefs in Germany. Let's get into it. I think the Chiefs are a 1.5 point favorite in this game, so it's really just a pick 'em game, right? It's not really at home for anybody because it's in Germany. But, man, let's talk about this Dolphins team. I mean, this offense has been amazing. They've been so fun to watch, right? The defense, it's been underrated all year, and they just got Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard back. Let's go. So this is matching up to be an incredible game for both teams. Just a really cool matchup. The only issue for me so far with this Dolphins team is they haven't beaten the team with a winning record yet, right? And in both games against the Bills and the Eagles, those teams who had the winning records, they lost in pretty poor fashion. I mean, I do expect them to look much better in this one. You know, I'm pretty sure they've heard all the chatter. You know, you guys haven't beaten a legit team yet. And they just had some, honestly, I think some just tough matchups against the Bills and Eagles, and I expect them to really come out and show out for this one. Then Chiefs offensively, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has been inconsistent, right? His offensive line has been inconsistent. He's had some just horrendous turnovers and head scratchers, right, all year, making him kind of like human, right? It's like I don't know. I've been saying through Patrick Mahomes his whole career, he's not really as good as he was until last year, when I thought he was by far and away one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen last year, and his uncomfortability this year, it's stemming from the inconsistency of his O-line, right? And his young, unproven receivers. He really only has Kelsey that he has rapport with right now. And his offensive line has been in shambles, so he's just not quite comfortable this season. I mean, defensively under Steve Spagnuolo, though, this Chiefs defense has been an unbelievable, incredible unit. I mean, they are carrying the Chiefs to multiple wins this year, especially that Jets game. They were incredible. Just so many games this year they've held their opponent under 20 points. And when Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid only have to get 20 points to win a game, it's pretty likely that's probably why they're 6-2 at this point. They haven't been the most flashiest defense this year, right? But they're playing like the most complete unit in the NFL probably so far this year. Maybe the Jets are a tiny bit above them, but definitely a top 3 unit as a defense so far. My prediction in this one, honestly, I think I'm rolling with Miami. I really like Miami's matchup in this one. I see their defense is causing problems for Patrick Mahomes, you know, due to their pass rush and their secondary finally getting healthy. You know, Jalen Phillips and gosh dang it. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Sorry, I was spacing his name for a second. I like their matchup against the tackles, and the Chiefs' offensive line has struggled. So I like the Dolphins matchup, and offensively, I mean, this Dolphins team can cause problems for anyone in this league. My only issue is, like the Eagles game, I can see Chris Jones just taking over this game and really getting after the offense, just because they do lack talent in the trenches. But I'm going Dolphins in this one, 28-24. The lines, it is a pick'em game for KC, 1.5. I'm gonna say Dolphins cover. Over under is 50.5. I can see it both ways, but I like the over in this one, definitely. I definitely like the over. But let's get into that Seahawks at Ravens game. Ravens are a 6 point favorite. It seems a little high, right? Just a little bit. I mean, the Ravens are a 6 point favorite. It is in Baltimore, and maybe the odds makers or Vegas doesn't really think that that the Seahawks are that good, you know, which is fair, I guess. They're all right, you know. It's Geno Smith, but I haven't watched a whole lot of the Seahawks this year. I mean, they've looked good, not great offensively. I feel like they have all the weapons they need to be a great offense, right? They have Kenneth Walker, they have Zach Charbonnet as their backup, great running backs. They obviously have DK, JSN, Jackson Smith and Njigba. He's another rookie out of Ohio State. Tyler Lockett. I mean, they just lack really on the offensive line, and Geno's mid. Honestly, I'm sorry, Seahawks fans. Sorry, but I mean, good news is about Geno and this team is they do seem to be getting better and better each week on both sides of the ball, right? Especially on their defense, and they just haven't hit their ceiling yet, which is still a really good sign this early in the season. I mean, I love the defense personally, though. I know they've been a pretty underwhelming, but the swagger and the playmakers they have just make me love them. I mean, Jamal Adams, Devon Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. The secondary is really fun to watch just with how many athletes and how many guys they have back there. I think they just traded for Leonard Williams. I'm like 90% sure Leonard Williams is going to Seahawks, and that's going to help them against the run. So that's definitely a good pickup for them. Ravens, though, I mean, if you take away the Ravens' perfect performance against the Lions, a lot of us would be looking at this team with a lot of worries, right? And a lot of questions marks, and just saying they wouldn't really be near as good as their record indicates, which is that 6-2. I mean, I still really like this team. I think they can figure it out, but I'm just not sure how good they are yet, and if they're good enough to go in and beat a 5-2 team and a solid team in the Seahawks. I mean, the offensive struggles have been hard to watch with Lamar and his receivers, right? I'm confused why they're not utilizing Zay Flowers a little more. I mean, he's been incredible for them, and it seems like he's being utilized like as more of like a gadget guy rather than a legit receiver. And as a legit receiver, he's been fine. He's been great. I mean, the run game, obviously, it's the Ravens. They know how to run the ball. It's been great with the Gus Bus. He's been killing it in fantasy, too. Defensively, they've been elite. You know, like they seem to be elite every year defensively. And it's quite remarkable. I mean, huge shout out to the coaching staff and John Harbaugh. I mean, they are always banged up. They always don't have the greatest of guys, but they always play such good football on the defensive side. Shout out to them. Shout out to Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey. You know, just all the guys making it a good defense. Prediction for this one, I think this is actually going to be a good game. I think the Ravens 6.5 is pretty far, but I do think the Ravens are overall the better team, even with their struggles. Defense is going to cause problems for Geno Smith, and the offense is going to capitalize well enough to score enough points for them to win, I think. My biggest concern is Lamar constantly turning the ball over. And if he continues to do so in this game, I mean, the Seahawks are good enough to capitalize for the win, right? But I think I'm going Ravens. I feel like 27 points is a little too high. I'm going to go Ravens 24-17. Or, yeah, I guess I'll go 24-17. And, Lions is Ravens 6.5. I had Ravens 27-17, so maybe I'll just stick with that. I'll just go with that. I'm not going to second guess myself. I just feel like 27 points is a lot against this defense, but we'll go with that. I'll say Ravens cover, and over-under is 44.5. I think I'd actually go... I have it right on 44. I think I would go... man, that's tough. Over-under is always the hardest one for me. I said I'd bet the over, so I'll just stick with that, but I feel like the under's pretty good too. So that's why I hate these over-unders, man, so much. But let's get into Vikings and Falcons. Falcons are a 3.5-point favorite. Let's go. Man, if we'll talk about the Falcons in a second. Let's talk about the Vikings. I feel so bad for this team and for Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles. Right, they were finally hitting their stride. I predicted them to go to make the playoffs after putting themselves in that 1-3 hole. Probably not going to happen at this point, right? Bam, season's over. I don't predict Jaron Hall or Josh Dobbs to take this team to the playoffs. I mean, the offense is going to feel it bad with losing Kirk. I mean, he's not a great quarterback, but he is a very solid quarterback. I expect them to struggle a lot this week moving the ball down the field. The Falcons' defense has been pretty good. Fortunately for the Vikings, though, the Falcons' rush defense has been pretty bad so far, and maybe they'll be able to get something going with that. Their defense has been surprisingly really, really good. Danielle Hunter's been a monster, and he has a very favorable matchup this week against Caleb McGarry, and he struggled all season. Caleb McGarry's been horrible all season in the pass protection for the Falcons. So, I mean, those are two pretty scary things coming into this game as a Falcons fan. I mean, when we are talking Falcons, I feel like there's no way we can lose to two straight backup quarterbacks, right? And God, if we do, I mean, it'd just be such a Falcons thing to do so, and it's just so disappointing. But we definitely got to win this game. I'm certainly not going to predict that we lose this game, but I don't love this matchup with the Vikings. Maybe I'm just superstitious. I feel like the Vikings only need roughly 20 points to win this one, and offensively, we've been really bad. I don't expect Taylor Heineke to suddenly make it better, right? He himself has had problems with turnovers, and it's not like he's way better than Desmond Ridder. I think he makes us a little better, but nothing crazy. I personally would play Ridder and work on the development, but everyone knows how I've felt about that if you've watched my videos. And Drake London just got ruled out too, so I mean, offensively, it's looking scary. But defensively, right? We've been pretty good, but we're struggling against the run and just giving up way too many big plays. That's what we did against the Titans. We didn't. Every time Will Levis had to march the ball downfield, he couldn't do so. I mean, we saw it last night or a couple nights ago on Thursday Night Football. Even though that Steelers pass rush was way better than the Falcons pass rush, I mean he's struggling doing that. Obviously, he's a young quarterback, so we can't give the Vikings easy scores, right? Or we're looking at another pathetic loss, quite honestly. But prediction, the QB situation for the Vikings and the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons have been a pretty good defense, right? And the quarterback situation for the Vikings is just bad. So I got to go with the Falcons in this one, right? Our offense should be able to move the ball a little more with Heineke at quarterback, and our defense has been good all year, like I've talked about. So I fully expect them to shut down Jaron Hall. I mean, my only real worry is that the Vikings defense may be getting a couple of scores right and making it easy on the Vikings offense. But I'm going to say Falcons win this one 21-13. The line is Falcons 3.5. I think the Falcons cover easy. I feel like the odds makers forgot, kind of because of last week, forgot how good the Falcons actually are. We actually are a really good team. I know we did just switch our quarterback, which is scary, but we have been an above average team this year. I feel like 3.5 is a little disrespectful, truthfully, but we did just lose to the Titans, so I think that's fair. Over under is 37.5. I'm taking, and I would bet the under in this one for sure. It's 37.5, and I would take the under. Let's get into Cowboys and Eagles, though. Oh my God, this is gonna be such a fun matchup too. Philly's a 3-point favorite, or maybe 3.5. Let me go look. No, they're just a 3-point favorite, and I always love these Cowboys Eagles games. I mean, they're only a 3-point favorite, I think, because they're at home. But man, this is gonna be such a fun game. I'm a little disappointed it's not on Sunday night, but I think they have another game on Monday or Sunday night, Week 14. So that'll be fun. But, I mean, the Cowboys offense, right, they showed out last week. And against this Eagles secondary, I mean, I expect Dak and CD to continue that. The run game has been pretty bad for Dallas, and this Eagles rush defense, you can't run against the Eagles defense. They've been so good. So, I mean, hopefully McCarthy can just ditch his, we need to establish the run first, and let Dak just torch this secondary like Sam Howell has already done twice. And I just hope it's just pass from the Cowboys, and they really get after this Eagles secondary. Defensively, the Cowboys have been really flashy. They've been super flashy, right? They get turnovers consistently, they get touchdowns consistently, but they haven't consistently been dominant, right? As far as just constant three and out. Kind of like the Jets and the Chiefs. They've given up some points, they've given up some drives, definitely. I mean, if they want to win this game, this defense needs to step up big and just stop the Eagles on multiple drives without forcing turnovers. I know the Eagles have given up a lot of turnovers, but they give up turnovers and still win games. So the Cowboys might have to do both. They might have to turn the ball over and consistently stop them, which is a tall task for any team against this Eagles team. Eagles, they've been the most dominant bad team I've ever seen, and I say that right because they're turning the ball over and they're still winning games by multiple possessions, which is crazy. And that just shows how talented this team is. I mean, when you're constantly giving up plays on the back end and yet you're still 7-1 because your offense turns the ball over and your defense or your secondary gets shredded and you're still 7-1, that's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how you can do that. I don't understand how a team can be that talented and that good, but I mean, something's off about Jalen Hurts this season. I think everyone who's watched him has seen it. He hasn't looked clean, calm, and collected yet in a game, ever. Not once this season. That's where I think the Eagles really just need to play off the run game in this one a little more. Constantly just chip at that Dallas D, force them to just play defense the entire game rather than give them free turnovers and points potentially. Prediction. I know it's in Philadelphia, but I actually really like the Cowboys in this one. I really like Dak's matchup against the secondary, and with the Eagles turning the ball over, I do think the Cowboys defense can potentially get a few and just make it easier. The Eagles could come out and show their dominance right in the trenches like they do. They really just win that offensive line, D-line trenches game. But I'm going boys in this one in Philadelphia, 30-24. Philly's a 3.5-point favorite, so I got the boys covering. Over-under's 46.5. I do like the over in this one. Over-under, man, I can always see it both ways. It's the NFL. It always sucks, but I'm going to take the over in this one. Let's get into that Sunday night football matchup. We got Bills at Bengals. Cincinnati is a 2.5-point favorite. They are the home team. This one's kind of showing, I feel like they're kind of saying, the Bengals had, a dominant performance last week against the Niners, but we're not quite sure, right? We're not quite sure if they're fully back, which is fair. Very fair to say the Bills are a really good team. I mean, they're a good team, but they've been really weird too, though, right? They had 3 straight weeks where they looked just absolutely incredible, and the defense got a little hurt, right? The offensive run game went to shit, and Josh Allen started just force feeding to Stephon, like, we're only going to pass, and I'm only going to look Stephon, and it looked really bad. I mean, they had a nice bounce back game last week on Thursday night against the Bucks, but I mean, right now it's quite a mystery what this team is gonna do and come out at week in and week out, especially scheme wise with their run game. But I mean, they're still a very talented team, obviously, with an amazing quarterback, obviously. But Josh Allen and this offense, they've been inconsistent ever since they got in this league and got their core, right? Ever since Stephon and Josh have been there, they've looked great, they've looked flashy, but they haven't consistently been amazing. And I mean, with Trey White and Matt Milano getting hurt, it makes me worried about the defense as well. So I'm not fully in love with this Bills team at the moment. Bengals, they just got done playing incredible football last week against the 49ers. I do have, if you do want to check out my video last week, I went in depth kind of on what the Bengals did different, how they're adapting and how they're adjusting. It's really cool. And I just don't expect it to stop, right, at home, right, going up against this Bills defense who's struggled so far without, Matt Milano and Trey White. They've started getting the run game going, right? Joe Burrow looks healthy. He can move inside and outside of the pocket right now. Defensively, they've been good, not great. The secondary really struggled early on in the season, but with their pass rush coming alive, they've been playing like a really solid unit. I mean, prediction-wise, I expect both offenses to get going early. I do think this game is going to be a shootout. I guess Vegas thinks so too, because the over-under is 50.5. The Bengals, I'm leaning the Bengals just because they're playing a little better football right now, and they're at home. The defense is going to do enough, just enough, to make Josh Allen uncomfortable, and the offense is going to pick up right where it left off. I just shredded the 49ers D. I'm going Bengals 33-24 in this one. Bengals are a 2.5-point favorite. I mean, you think, when I say Bengals 33-24, I expect the Bengals just kind of maybe hit a couple field goals late game. I do think this is going to be a very competitive game. And then over-under is 50.5. I like the over in this one. And, all right, lastly, this is the last game we're going to talk about. We got Monday Night Football, Chargers at Jets. The Chargers are a 3.5-point favorite, and I kind of get it. I definitely get it. The Chargers are a much more talented team, but they're just not playing good football. I mean, this is a really winnable game for the Chargers, and it'd be a huge win to get back up to 500 at 4-4. If you've heard me talk about the Chargers this year, you know I'm really down on them as a unit. I picked them to win the division before the season, so I loved them. I loved them coming in, right? And all they've been is an extreme disappointment on both sides of the ball, especially the defensive side, coached by Brandon Staley, the defensive-minded head coach. But offensively, they've just been all right. I mean, Justin Herbert hasn't taken that next step. He still looks frantic. He still has accuracy issues. He still just looks troubled. But, I mean, they do have a lot of talent, and they have been able to move the ball downfield. So, I don't know. We'll see how this game goes. I think this is going to tell a lot for both teams, truthfully. It started off really poor in week one, this defense against the Dolphins, and it just hasn't looked better ever since. I mean, even the Bears last week had multiple chances to move the ball downfield on this team, and they just missed opportunities. But Jets, I still really like this Jets team. They were my favorite team coming in, looking at their roster with Aaron Rodgers. I still think they're a playoff team with Zach Wilson at quarterback. I mean, their defense is loaded from top to bottom with legit guys in the secondary and front seven. As a unit, I think they might be playing the best defense. They're playing as the best defense in the league. I mean, they don't get a lot of love anymore because, right, they're 4-4. It's like there's not as much hype on them as much. But I do think they're probably playing the best football. They've won games for this Jets team easy. I mean, I know it doesn't seem like it, but Zach Wilson is getting better and better each week. I have been impressed by a number of his games all season, and I expect him to continue to get better as the season goes along. I kind of feel bad for Zach Wilson in this offense because, I mean, they have a decent offense, but they have offensive line injuries, and their offensive line isn't that good. And he doesn't really have, Nathaniel Hackett came in with Aaron Rodgers, and Nathaniel Hackett's job was supposed to be easy. Supposed to be kind of helping Aaron see some stuff, right? And see what Aaron isn't seeing, but he really wasn't supposed to do a whole lot. And so they don't have an OC that can make it really easy on a quarterback because he didn't need to do so with Aaron, I think Aaron and this offense would have been struggling a little bit if he was still the quarterback just because that offensive line has had some troubles. And I know Aaron, obviously, you have that Hall of Fame awareness where he's coming to the line. He knows what he wants every time. And so with Zach Wilson coming to the line, not being able to know exactly what he wants and to audible and just to check to exactly what he wants is tough. And Nathaniel Hackett isn't going to be able to help him because I think Nathaniel Hackett's a good coach. I just don't think he's obviously, a Shanahan guy or someone who makes it extremely easy on the quarterback. So I still do like this Jets team. I think they get better and better each week. And I mean, prediction wise, every time I get excited about the Chargers, they let me down. So I'm going to say the Jets because you know how much I like the Jets. And I think their defense is really going to get after Justin Herbert on Monday night. And I think the Jets offense and Zach Wilson, they're going to do just enough against a pretty bad Chargers defense to scrape by in this one. I'm going to go Jets 24-21, maybe a little lower, maybe like 2017, something like that. But Lions, Chargers, 3.5-point favorite. I think the Jets cover either way. And over under is 40.5. This one's tough. I mean, I like the over just because I think the Jets offense isn't as bad as people think, and I think the Chargers defense is a lot worse than people think. I mean, Vegas is pretty good at this. They set their lines just unbelievably, but I'm going to take the over, and that's going to be it. We are going to wrap up the show. I mean, if you did like the video, please do hit a like and subscribe. It takes about 2 seconds. Helps me out a ton. No worries if you don't want to. Also, though, hey, if you guys want to talk ever and just chat and tell me why I'm wrong. I mean, I don't cover all these teams. I really only cover the Falcons. So I really only have, extreme high IQ on the Falcons, not all of these teams. And I love to get insight. So, yeah, you can comment. And maybe even if you wanted to, you could ask to come on the show. Man, I always like to talk to people. And it's more fun when there's someone else and I'm not just reading off my notes and kind of what I think is going to happen. So, yeah, just that's going to be it for today, though, guys. Hope everyone has a great Saturday, great weekend, and we will see you next week.